Well, good Sunday evening, everybody. It is October the 26th, and I'm Chris Allen, and this is 270 weather for the 270 area code and beyond. Thanks for tuning in on this Sunday evening. Your R&R Controls weather headlines down at the bottom of your screen as we're going to talk about a lot of rain. It's going to be a damp week. Damp. It is. Kind of like the commercial. Damp. What's that smell? Damp. It is going to be that for sure. Here, not only in the 270, but parts of the 615, the 606, the 502, so forth and so on. A lot of areas are going to pick up some rain this week, this final week of October, leading up to Halloween, which is coming up on Friday. And then we have the big time change. Yeah, daylight saving time comes to a close a week from today. That's when we set our clocks back 1 hour as we fall back. Yeah, we still have to do it. All right, so keep that in mind. But we're also going to take a look here in a moment um, with this incredible hurricane, Melissa. I'm going to get to that in just a moment. But first, let's check on the highlights of the day with a high of just 61 and courtesy of the clouds and the rain, that kept temperatures on the low side today. That's 61 degrees, 7 degrees cooler than the normal of 68. And expect more of that to come. Temperatures will only, well, they'll struggle to even get into the 60s this week. And in some cases, as you'll see, even the 50s. The low was 52. Now, so far, the rain has been light. And here at the Bowling Green Airport, we have only picked up 2/100ths of an inch of rain for the 24-hour period, but that will be added to as we go through tonight and into the day tomorrow and so forth and so on. The rains are going to keep coming. And some of you could, pick up an inch or two of rain as we go through this week. All right. I'll get to more on the situation here in just a moment. But first, a word from our sponsor, R&R Controls, as they are on this push right now. And you may have seen today that Barry Connolly, who is the guy at R&R Controls, has made a push this week to get you to think about not only your generator's operation, but its maintenance, because there are colder days and months and weeks ahead. And are you going to be ready for what winter is going to bring? We're only a few weeks away, 7 weeks now? 7 weeks out from the beginning of winter, and then a few days later, it's Christmas, and then a week later from that, it's New Year's. And then we'll be into January, February, when usually the winter is much worse. Now you may be thinking, we kind of get skipped over when it comes to winter. Oh yeah, well, let me see here. There have been several years when we did not get skipped over with the extremely cold air, high levels of snow, more than usual, and even worse than that, ice storm conditions. This year, all signs point to the kind of weather that is going to be very active. We could have everything from severe storms like we get in the spring. Remember 2010, 2011? 2010 was a big snow. 2011, we had the tornadoes. I mean, it depends on the pattern of the weather. and how it's what I call behaving. Well, it looks like this winter the weather may be misbehaving in so much that we could see a variety of weather. So today I noticed that Barry Connolly and R&R Controls made a social media post about you taking care of generators. He wasn't out to really sell generators, but he was out to just tell you that even if you already have a generator and you didn't buy it from R&R Controls, they will still maintain it because they are a Generac dealer. They install, they sell, they recondition, they make everything like it should, so that when that flip of the switch happens, you're good to go. Your home, your business, you keep on running. Even when you fall off the grid, the electrical grid, because of weather or some other something happens, you can just keep on trucking. So right now and through November 7th, if you are interested in getting a Generac generator, you get a free 10-year warranty with your purchase. You know what that means? That means the qualified personnel at R&R Controls, they have a team of people that will come out and regularly maintain your Generac generator, making sure it's in working order for when you're going to need it the most. So why not give them a call? You see the number there at the top of the screen. And you also see right above my head the Generac credit card. That's a credit card I'm sure you've never heard of, but it's about financing. You may think that it's unreachable. You may think, I can't afford a generator. Come on. Only rich people can do that. Nope. Listen, R&R Controls makes it affordable, and they promise to keep you running for as long as you own that generator. So give them a call, 270-777-2024. Call them tomorrow. Tomorrow's Monday. They'll be back in the office. Give them a call and set something up before it gets bad. Don't wait until it gets bad. 270-777-2024. With R&R Controls, you'll never be without. All right. I want to go to this. This, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is incredible. I mean, to look at this as we're looking at it right now, this is current as of 6:49 p.m. on Sunday night, October the 26th. Just an incredible display of power with Category 4 Hurricane Melissa. Now, as you can see, it is right on the cusp of Jamaica. And those of you who have been to places like Port Antonio and Montego Bay, you vacationed maybe in Jamaica, this powerful hurricane is going to be incredibly life-threatening. It could wipe out a big portion of Jamaica. Now, on the scale of things, Jamaica is not that big. But look at just how massive and how well defined Melissa is. And here's the thing about Jamaica. I mean, you don't have much of anywhere to go. I mean, look around. It is just by itself, and it is out here in the waters. This storm is going to make a turn and then go straight up the eastern side of Jamaica in the next few days. The problem with this storm, not only the rapid intensification, it is forecast to go to a category 5 when it starts to make that turn. It's going very slow. The forward motion on this incredible major hurricane is incredibly slow. So it's just going to churn and churn over the open waters, and the warm air is really feeding into this thing. I mean, look how well defined that eye wall is. So it's at category 4. The winds right now estimated to be 145 miles an hour. Now, if it goes category 5, we're talking about 160 or higher. I mean, that's the top of the scale. And you see the path it's going to take. And not only there is it going to, be a problem, but we are also looking at this being a problem for places like, once it goes through Jamaica, it looks like it's going to just kind of touch parts of Cuba. And there you see Guantanamo Bay. It is going to be a major problem, even as it travels northeast. Haiti may get something off of it on the eastern side, but these were all places where I know many of you have vacationed or possibly planning a vacation. There is talk, and I'm not making this up, there is talk that most of the eastern third of Jamaica could just be leveled. We're talking about people's homes and businesses. This is a totally devastating, potentially devastating and deadly hurricane. One of, if not the most powerful hurricanes to affect Jamaica. So tomorrow, when you wake up and you look at the coverage, there's not going to be, it's only going to move a little bit more west, and then it's going to take that turn to the north, according to the National Hurricane Center. And it's not good what the forecast is showing. And all I can say is many, many thoughts and prayers for the people of Jamaica and anybody else that's in the path of Hurricane Melissa, because it is going to be one for the record books. It is that powerful of a storm. To go as fast as it did from not much of anything until it's now category 4 is incredible. How it's just bombed. I mean, just an incredible storm. So I wanted to bring you up to date on that, because while it's not expected to come to the United States, some of those places that we're familiar with, Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, those are all places that will be affected by this incredible storm. So I wanted you to know that right off the bat, because it is that big of a deal. Look at it, just churning, just so huge, so incredible. Okay, let's get back here to home. We'll turn on the radar, and we'll take a look and see what's been happening with our weather. And here we see Bowling Green and much of the 270, and the current radar. And if you will recall, if you were watching yesterday when I said, even though we had a lot of echoes on the radar back to the west, a lot of it was not reaching the ground. Well, today it is reaching the ground. Uh, Now, because the air has been very dry here in the 270 and much of southern Kentucky, if you watched me yesterday, last night, I said it would take much of the day today to get the atmosphere saturated enough from the top down before it would start raining. Well, that pretty much held true. We didn't really start to pick up rain until midday and in the afternoon here in southern Kentucky. Now, a lot of what you're seeing, especially up here, that little arc that you see with the yellows and the reds, again, that's the radar beam going up into the clouds, and it's just hitting some of this moisture that's way up in the clouds, and not all of that is reaching the ground. So, sometimes when you look at radar, you may look at this and say, well, that's where the rain is coming down the worst or the heaviest. Such is not the case with this particular setup because the air near the surface has been very dry. So all we're seeing is that radar beam going up from Nashville. And because of the curvature of the earth, that beam is going to overshoot what is actually hitting the ground. So it makes it look like when you look at the radar that there's heavy rain going on from Calhoun to Litchfield down to Greensburg and Columbia. And yeah, there's some steady rain in there, but it's nothing really heavy, nor are we really expecting anything too heavy out of all of this. I'll change radar sites. We go to Hopkinsville, and this looks a lot different. Go to Paducah's radar, and it looks even more different. And again, the further away you are from the actual radar site, then it's going, as it goes out, it's going to pick up what looks like heavier rain, but such is not the case unless you're close to the radar site, like back here toward Cape Girardeau. They're getting a little more moderate rainfall because they're close. Cape Girardeau is within 30 miles or so, 40 miles from Paducah. So that's verifying. All of this, though, is a good, light, steady rain. There are no thunderstorms out there. In fact, I don't think there's going to be much in the way of thunderstorms at all with the next few days of rain. Here is a composite view. Now, what this does is it takes all of the Doppler radars and puts the images together. And with the algorithm that it has, it's able to give us a more real view of all the radar sites put together and what it really represents. So as you can see, remember up here to the Calhoun, Litchfield, down to Greensburg, see, this is not even turning yellow or red. So yeah, there's some fairly good light rain there, but nothing that is like we saw on the Nashville radar alone made it look like there was heavy rain, but such is not the case. In fact, there's a little bit of a cutoff now of some of the rain just south of Bowling Green toward Nashville. Some of this, though, back here toward Paducah, Cape Girardeau, as I mentioned, that's some actual moderate rain that is coming down there. So this is like the loop starts at 6:30 and goes to almost now 7. It is now 7 o'clock. And so that's a 30-minute loop of all of those Doppler radar sites that I mentioned put together to show you the rain. And so that's how we can contrast and compare when it comes to how the radar looks, because that's very important that we do that, because sometimes the radar, live radar, like right there, that's misleading. That's why you have to do the contrast and compare. Okay. I do want to look at, let's go on down to um, 1 hour precipitation accumulation from the Nashville radar site. And here I will look at, see this little picker, we call it, in the middle. So over the past hour, there has not been that much, but some of the heavier rain within the past hour has been in that little band. Even though it's not heavy rain, you've already picked up an inch of rain, according to the Doppler radar estimates in Calhoun in McLean County. And then you see, as you go further east, you go north of Beaver Dam up toward Hartford, about a half inch of rain. Litchfield, 2/2 to about a half inch of rain. And there you see north of Horse Cave, about a half inch of rain. Lighter amounts over toward Edmonton and Columbia. So by this, we can get a pretty good idea of just how much rain has fallen. If we want to go for longer than just an hour, then we take a look at this, and we can see we've picked up about 3/10 of an inch of rain here in Bowling Green as it's still coming down. The heaviest of the rain so far has been up toward Seabury, and this would be I-69 going north of Madisonville, and about 2 inches of rain there. And that's for pretty much the 24-hour period. So there's more rain to come, and it's going to keep coming as we go through time in the next few days. So, yeah, it's going to be raining, and in various periods, we're going to get rain. It'll rain pretty good, then shut off for a little bit, and then another round of rain will come tomorrow and Tuesday. Some of the heaviest of the rain, I think, may come Tuesday into Wednesday, and then start to taper off as we go into Thursday, just before Friday, which is Halloween, as you know. And it looks like, for the most part, we're going to be drier by Halloween. So that would be certainly good news for all the trick-or-treaters who are wanting to get out and get some candy. All right. Here we go with the Kentucky Mesonet Network, showing just after 7 p.m. current conditions, as everybody stayed in the upper 50s to low 60s for highs today. As I mentioned here at the airport, 61 today. Right now it's 54 at the Corvette plant, 55 at the Kentucky Mesonet Sensor at the Western Ag Expo Center. Most everybody in the low to mid 50s today after high temperatures in the upper 50s to low 60s. The lowest temperature of the day for most of you has been upper 40s to low 50s. Now, here's something else to note. Because of the moisture in the air, there will be very little difference between the high temperature and the low temperature. We're not going to see, like it's been, where we go almost 70 during the day and then 40s or close to 50 at night. It's going to be closer. The temperatures are going to stay closer. The high temperature, the low temperature. For the next couple of days, they're going to be very close. In fact, we can have highs in the 50s and lows in the 50s. Just only 5, 6, 7 degrees separate the high and the low. It's just the way the atmosphere is set up right now. So since midnight, Here's a look at rainfall amounts: a tenth of an inch up at the Corvette plant, almost that much down at the Western Ag Expo Center. Most of you have picked up around, we'll average it out, about a tenth of an inch, except for up there in Ohio County, you've picked up 2/10 of an inch of rain. And the higher amounts of rain have been back here into far western Kentucky. There is Hickman, Kentucky. That's in Fulton County, right on the Mississippi River, where they have picked up over 2 inches of rain today. And it's still raining, still coming down. Lighter amounts as you go further east. Some of you, if you're watching, say, from Casey County to Taylor County to Wayne County, some of these areas out further east, you've not picked up anything. Maybe a sprinkle or two, but not enough to be in the bucket, so to speak. Yeah, even the 24-hour rainfall, it's all showing pretty much the same. The winds are coming out of the north and northeast at about 5 to 10, but a little breezier back into western Kentucky, where you're getting some breezes at, say, 10 to 15 miles per hour, and mostly out of the east. How about moisture? The dew points, well, they have come up. Remember yesterday when I said, dew points in the 30s and 40s are not going to help much of the rain to fall to the ground. But once we start to get into the 50-degree dew points and closer to 60, that's when you'll start to see the rain. Well, in those locations out to the east where it's still very dry with dew points in the 40s, you haven't received any rain. But back here toward Bowling Green and western Kentucky, where the dew points are now in the 50s, that's where we've seen the rain, and the rain will continue to fall as we go through the next few days. How much rain are we talking about? Here is the updated map, the rainfall projections over the next 7 days. And here you see right over the 270, south central Kentucky. We're talking about 2 to 2.5 inches of rain possible. Now, good news, that is going to be collectively over the course of several days. And it's not all going to come at once. If it all came at once, then we would have an issue with flooding, but I don't think we're going to see that. This is going to be spread out long enough so that it doesn't, tax the rivers and streams too much. But it'll be a good, steady rainfall that will keep us out of the drought. It'll keep us from going back into the drought, which is certainly good news. So, yeah, the good news keeps coming, and that is wonderful. All right, let's go to the maps. And here we go. Here we are over Bowling Green with the current rain situation that's coming through. Nothing too heavy, nothing really too light, and it's now all starting to reach the ground because the atmosphere is becoming more saturated from top to bottom. And that will continue to be the case overnight tonight, during the day tomorrow. We continue to watch the rain push through. Here's Monday morning. Here we go into Monday afternoon. Still showers in the area. As I mentioned, I don't really foresee convection or thunderstorm activity. That's not to say there won't be somewhere a rumble of thunder, but there's just not a lot of activity with that. Most of any thunderstorm activity or even severe weather has been down on the Gulf. Today, there were numerous tornadoes. Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, on the coast. a lot of water spouts and tornadoes. Pascagoula, Mississippi, different places like that picked up some tornadoes today. So, with all of that convection and stronger thunderstorm activity to our south, typically what happens to us, we're on the northern end. All the energy for that to happen is robbed in our area, and we just get rain. But severe weather, even thunderstorms, I just do not see us getting that in the next few days. It's going to stay rain, just rain, gray, a little, gloomy. I never call it gloomy. I still find the beauty in a rainy day. So I tend not to use the word gloomy because that's all relative. You may think it is, and others may look at it as, wow, this is beautiful. That's me. I can take rainy days. To me, they do not depress me at all. There's something beautiful about the clouds and the rain and just the quiet and just the hearing the raindrops. And to me, that is not gloomy. You may look at it that way, and that's up to you, but I'm not going to ever use that in describing what the weather is when it's just raining. It's just rain, nothing else. Here's a look at tomorrow evening. Still rainy here in southern Kentucky. And then here comes another piece of energy as we get into Tuesday. And this is when I think we could begin to pick up on some heavier rain, as you see here. Coming into Tuesday evening with a frontal boundary to the west that's going to start to kind of disintegrate somewhat. But there is that closed off low pressure system that is going to make its way through southern Illinois, southern Indiana, and right on the Ohio River and the Wabash River as well as it moves through. This is Wednesday morning as it pushes east. And there's still rain even Thursday. This is Thursday morning. The low pressure system moves into West Virginia. Now, here is where I think we will begin to pick up some wind on the low pressure system as it passes by. So probably Wednesday night into Thursday, the winds will begin to pick up with the rain. Here's Friday. This is Halloween. This is morning, Friday morning. Showers are still lingering from about I-65 and to the east. This cold front will start to pass through on Friday, and it's going to keep us a little cool. And now we're looking at drier weather. This is Saturday morning, this coming Saturday, which is the first day of November. And then here comes next Sunday, a week from today, when we all change our clocks back 1 hour. Here's another system, Sunday, that is going to bring us a chance of rain and another shot of cooler air back behind that cold front. And I'm looking right here at some highs in the 50s and lows in the 30s into the beginning of next week, which that's going to feel nice and chilly. In fact, let's take a look at the blend of models and the model blender showing nothing warmer than the low 60s throughout that entire 10-day period. Upper 50s, low 60s. And then check out the nighttime lows, 30s, 40s, 50s at first. See, this is what I'm talking about right here. A high of 58, a low of 52. That's a 6-degree difference between the high and the low. And then 58 to 51, 7-degree difference. There's not going to be much difference in the next 2 days between the high of the day and the low of the day. Temperatures are just not going to move that much with the clouds and the rain. But then as the front comes on through, which is going to be Thursday, then you see that we do get a little cooler and then a little bit warmer, but only into the low 60s this coming weekend. There's Halloween with a high around 60, but a low of 39, 60 to 39. So when you go trick-or-treating with your kids or your grandkids Friday evening, I think temperatures will be in the 40s, and there could be even a bit of wind, which will make it feel even cooler as that front passes through and the low pressure system moves out of the region. So you're making plans to go trick-or-treating Friday afternoon and evening. It is going to be chilly and it's going to be a bit breezy, but that makes it even spookier. Yeah, kids will love it. Come on. You may not, but the kids will. The kids will love it. So, and then look at this. Into next week and the first full week of November, we're talking about highs in the upper 50s and lows in the 30s. Yeah, we could be looking at another opportunity of frost as we head into one of the days the following week. Not this coming week, but the week after. First week of November. And, you know, it's the first week of November. We're supposed to be a little frosty at times. So, you know, that's coming. It's all coming. So a little bit more rain, a little bit more chilly air, and things are going to continue to be as they are, or as we have seen them lately. As far as what you saw today on this Sunday, October 26th, and as far as the temperatures staying cool, we're going to keep that trend going pretty much every day this week. Okay. I will be back tomorrow morning. It's a Monday, the final Monday of October. I will be on your TV tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., News 40 Sunrise. Then I'll be on at 9 and then again at noon on WNKY. And then I'll be back here tomorrow evening with another update on your forecast for the week ahead. So in the meantime, thank you for watching on this Sunday evening. Pray for the folks in Jamaica for sure. They're going to need everybody's prayer because it's going to be, I think when we get into the next few days, it is going to be utterly and unbelievably devastating. Unless something rapidly changes, it's going to be terrible what's coming to Jamaica because of Hurricane Melissa. God bless you all. Thank you for watching and have a good evening.